Hello and welcome to Living Spark, a project of the Spark of Humanity Network. I'm your hostess, Danielle O'Hallisey, coming to you from my studio on the West Coast in Seal Beach, California. I was looking at the weather earlier. It looks like it's much warmer there, and you're probably experiencing thunderstorms, which would be a real rarity in this part of the country. At any rate, we are here to discuss not only the meaning of the spark of humanity, but also the shared experience of strengthening that, cultivating it within ourselves and the world around us. And as an example, I hold up my own difficult passage with this new way of looking at life. And we explore that, but I'm always open to your phone calls. If you're on the Zoom call, I'm open to seeing your messages here. And we also have an email address, which I think flashes on the screen. We can receive your messages that way and respond to them. So I hope you do. I'm going to read a little bit from what I consider to be our statement of principle, sort of what is the unifying document and unifying concept behind what we do. And this is available in its entirety on our website, sparkofhumanity.net. I do recommend that if you find anything you see here interesting, that you do visit us at sparkofhumanity.net, because what's there has been thoughtfully prepared by people much more steeped in this tradition than I am. So I think they can perhaps illuminate for you what we're kind of putting out there. Reading from that document, the insight that there is a spark of humanity in everyone is the foundation of the Spark of Humanity Network. We have discovered that as we connect with others and affirm their spark, we are claiming our personal spark and becoming agents of transformation. Doesn't that sound nice? Agents of transformation. As we are engaged by life and moving through our experiences in this world, we sometimes notice that our sparks, our perception of our own humanity, I'm adding as a footnote, have become defended, distorted, or baffled. We have found they can never be extinguished. We have found that they can never be extinguished or corrupted. As we claim our sparks and connect with and affirm the sparks of others, it seems that their sparks are strengthened. In our experience, it seems that the strengthened spark acts to erode the defenses, release the distortions, and clarify the bafflement from the inside. Thus, we find that indeed we are becoming agents of transformation. Something that I like to emphasize during these sessions is that we don't talk about belief, we talk about observation. To observe that there is a spark of humanity in others can be quite a challenge. And to believe that our affirming that spark can be can help us to confirm our own spark. I'm trying to remember the exact word. Claim our own spark. That word keeps becoming a stumbling block for me. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about that. Last week, we had a wonderful session in which we were joined by Martha Holden, who did last year's Living Mosaic. She was talking a lot about how claiming our spark helps us to find our place in the mosaic. Sometimes I think of it as a big puzzle that is this world, to find our specific location in that big thing that is kind of incomprehensible to all of us, to each of us. And we had a really good discussion around the use of the word claiming our spark. Claiming our spark sounds to me kind of like claim your prize or claim your rightful. It sounds almost an entitled word. I hesitate to use that term because it carries some baggage in this world, but it also communicates what I'm trying to say, that it can seem like I feel entitled and therefore I'm claiming something. And the use of the word is interesting then because it speaks to something which is kind of the opposite of grasping, of taking, all of which are subtext words for me in the word claim. I find that although that word is challenging, it's also enticing. I would like to claim that which is mine. I think of that first, I suppose, in a material way, but very much see it also as taking ownership of my own humanity, the joys and responsibilities that conveys onto me. There are responsibilities. With Martha here, we talked, and she has contributed a great deal to the written materials and the video legacy of this Spark of Humanity network. With here, we talked quite a bit about how do I claim. Imagine that you did win a prize and you have this lottery ticket in your hand, or you have some opportunity that has been given you by way of winning through luck or skill, an opportunity, and you want to claim that now, and that to take that logic through to maybe perhaps make it clearer to understand what we're saying by claiming our spark. If the rules of the game that we feel we've won say, yes, you can claim your prize, but you need to acknowledge and affirm the prizes that others have won. You need to spend a little time looking at what they have done. You can't simply step in and receive your prize. Another example from my own life, I'm a composer, and I'm currently working on a piece of music to submit to an ensemble that I really admire. And they don't call it a competition, but it is in essence a competition. There will be other people submitting scores, and they will choose the one that they feel best meets their needs. And if they were to say, like, I don't have any confidence or lack of confidence that that mine will be chosen, it's simply an opportunity to compose in an area that I have not done before. And so that in and of itself is the opportunity to me. But let's say they came back and said, your work has been chosen, and in order for it to be performed by us, you must first look at all the work that we've done, that we've accepted from other composers, and maybe they would say, we need you to acknowledge their strength and their skill. This ensemble has a large collection of recorded work, and I'm doing that as homework right now. I'm listening to a lot of what they've recorded, and then branching out and listening a bit to the composers that they've worked with before, and listen to their work. Tortured logic, but it's my way of getting from I'm here to claim something, and understanding that the claiming involves acknowledging and observing and hopefully reinforcing that which we would claim for ourselves in others. It's not how we think of the word claim, is it? So one of the things that came up and we discussed was Martha's newsletter. Again, it's not hers, it's the newsletter of the Spark of Humanity Network, but she's had put out a newsletter under our heading recently. And she asked for people to spend some time doing their Spark practice, more about that on the website, more detailed guided meditations and so forth. Sparkofhumanity.net. I'm going to say it frequently so that you can find it easily enough. Sorry, brain skip right there. She had put out something saying, let's meditate, let's do our Spark meditation around affirming the humanity of the President of the United States. Now, depending on who you are and where you are on the political divide, that might be like, of course I can do that. And it might be beyond challenging for you. Um, I'm a little more on that side of the fence, but she has also put out calls equally as important. We have put out calls to affirm the humanity in various elected officials from both sides of the fence. So let's say that it's somebody that I don't think of as a very good person. Let's say that it's somebody that I think of as, I vilify that person. I think they are, I can't see their humanity. I cannot acknowledge or affirm their humanity. I cannot see how their behaviors or their decisions demonstrate humanity. I've sat with this quite a lot over the past 2 weeks. I've thought, how do I affirm the spark in somebody that I feel like on a bad day, I feel like they deserve to be punished or barred from the public arena or something like that. Maybe a musician that I feel has done great harm in the world, and maybe I admired their work, but now I feel that they have no humanity because of their behavior in the world. It can be kind of anyone that we find challenging. The uncle that sits beside us at Thanksgiving and we argue with. How can I want to affirm that person's humanity when I'm not sure I even believe in it? Or when I feel that my acknowledging their humanity might be good for them, might bring good to them, might bring healing or insight to them that is beneficial to them. And I, somewhere in my bitter heart, I don't feel like they deserve that. And it's occurred to me that there have been times in my life when I maybe didn't deserve for my humanity to be reinforced when I've done something or said something, harmed someone close to me, brought discord into the public arena rather than trying to seek harmony in the public arena. And I look back and I think I didn't really deserve, much then. There was nothing much for me to claim. And it is through looking at that that I can see this a little more clearly. One of my many little asides, my many little tales from my own life. I had a relative through marriage, who I say had because there has been a divorce that makes him no longer a relative. But I genuinely liked the guy, and as I got to know him, and as time went by, he became more and more difficult. I was aware that eventually that he was cheating on his wife, to whom I am related, and that there were multiple things, and that relative, by the way, kind of knew it and was tolerating it, and there was a lot of struggle for me about how to address that. But at some point, he was put on medication for attention deficit, and I saw him, and he said, for some reason, that medication was waking up his conscience, and he proceeded to confess a number of things or to allude to them by way of confession, saying, oh, I've done some really awful things. I can't believe some of the things I've done. And I didn't judge him and I didn't tell him to go away. I sat with him and listened and felt that reinforced in him this awakening of his conscience. And by the way, to give you the full story, later on, he just said I couldn't stand being on that medication. So he went off and went right back to the way he had been. But my point of telling that story is that in the discussions I was having with him and in the effect that the medication was having on him, there was an affirming of his humanity. And it was transformational. It was potentially transformational. It was briefly transformational for him. Insofar as my conversations with him and my acceptance of his struggle were beneficial to those changes, I was suddenly an agent of transformation. And insofar as my own mother, who once noted that I had cheated on a partner of mine, when she said, you did her wrong, didn't you? When I was complaining about how awful it was that I was all alone and how could this have happened to me? I'm a good person. You have to own something there. My mother's humanity was reinforced by holding me accountable and by affirming my humanity and my potential to be held accountable. So I guess what I'm saying is when somebody seems deplorable to me and I'm asked to affirm their humanity, that doesn't mean let them off, let them walk away. It means see that they are responsible. They do have a human soul. See that they are human despite the struggle for that. And be aware that even if I can't directly address my concerns to that person, by being that way about them, I might influence someone who's closer to me than that individual, and they might become an agent of transformation. Those are just thoughts on the subject. It's a thorny subject. I get it. I get it. It's triggering. I get it. It does it for me too. But it is my way of acknowledging that we might inadvertently or intentionally become agents of change, not by arguing a person, trying to argue a person or shame them into becoming more enlightened, affirming their own humanity, but more by our gentle example of listening and becoming aware of their humanity. Now, if you clicked on this because the topic said patience, I applaud your patience getting this late into the broadcast and listening to my talk. What I do is lay something out during the final moments and talk about that topic, and then I set it up so that for the next 2 weeks, that becomes my homework. And if anyone else out there chooses to take that as their homework, then I am so grateful to have you joining me, even briefly, on this path. My first thought about patience is that we are taught to be very impatient in our view of it. I once told someone that I had learned through a long struggle, and I meant this: I have no time for impatience. And I mean that on very many levels. We'll talk about this more next time because I will be recounting my experiences with my homework. I want to set this up though by saying that we're told when we're little kids, sit down, shut up, be patient. Well, those are somehow bracketed together, at least they are in my mind with my upbringing. I am well aware now that doesn't work. Sitting down and shutting up might be useful for managing a child's outbursts, but it isn't an example of how to be patient, and telling them to do so is not an example of how to learn to be patient. That is my experience with patience, is that it is learned, and it is learned over a long period of time. A quick thing that I've gone through over the last few years, I've had multiple heart attacks. I have serious health issues, and a couple of years ago, I was put on a medication for my heart that lowered my metabolism. So what followed was that I was unable to exercise even the little bit that I was doing at the time, which was to take a couple, as I now do, a couple of short walks every day. But at that time, for 6 months or so, I wasn't able to do that. And while I was on that medication, and my metabolism was slowed. So something that you've been told 1,000 times is bad for your heart is to gain weight. I gained weight. I gained quite a bit of weight fairly quickly. And at the beginning of 2023, I said to myself, 6 months now, I've been gaining weight slowly and steadily. I need to take that weight off. My whole life, I have tried to lose weight because of how it looks, my younger life. And when I tried to lose weight, I would say, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to lose 5 pounds. It was always that sort of goal. And it was always transitory. The success, I might lose 5, I might lose 10, I might lose 12 while trying to lose 10. Yay, I've done it. And then my switch in my brain would go, okay, you've done it. And then I would slowly gain back the weight. This is a common thing. What I finally decided, because it was about my health and my sense of well-being, and because at that time I was rarely going out of my house, so it wasn't even about how others saw me at all, I decided that to lose weight, I was going to need to change habits. And I said to myself, knowing from prior attempts to change habits, it's going to be a long haul. I'm going to lose the weight gradually. I'm going to do it by changing the way that I view my relationship with food. And I will probably need to do it multiple times. I will take steps forward. I will take steps backward. I will plateau at times and think, yeah, I lost whatever amount of weight, but I'm not doing any more with it. I realized that it was essential that I change my habits of thought about food, address the ways that I eat reactively, and that I do this over a long period of time, not looking for the satisfaction of my goal to be next week, next month, next 3 months, but to next 5 pounds, next 10 pounds, that the goal needed to be to look over what will I do over the coming year. And my goal, I don't tend to do New Year's resolutions, but in 2023, I said, I will lose 10 to 15 pounds over the course of the year. And I wrote that out for myself. It will be back and forth. It will be losing a little and plateauing. Anyway, I lost 15 pounds that year. And it didn't happen all at once. It wasn't like I lost it and kept it off. It was that I did exactly what I knew I would do. I went through plateaus. I went through struggles. It was the entire year that it took to do that. I have, using a similar logic over the course of 2024 and the beginning of 2025, I've lost some more weight, and I'm setting goals that way. That's a common struggle for us in this culture. We tend to do it because of how we look, because of the compliments we'll get when we look a little bit lighter, leaner. In other cultures where food isn't so abundant, it works exactly the opposite, or at least I'm told that. So we look for external reinforcement. This case, whereas like my life literally depends on it, and my sense of my physical sense of well-being depends on it. Changing to those goals has been very, very helpful for me. What does that teach us? We've got a couple of minutes left here, not a lot of time. What am I getting at here? Talking about patience and talking about weight loss. Well, learning to look at other people's humanity when my habit is to be judgmental. Trust me, I love dismissing people. I love saying that person has no humanity. I love saying that person doesn't deserve my energy, my attention. It is what I've learned, and I've done it very well. I've been very prone to that kind of dismissal of others, that kind of impatient, angry, kind of thinking and kind of behavior. Applying what I just said to about patience to the spark of humanity means that I must ask myself, will I be more humane, or will I be shiny or spark? Will I be allowing what is in me, that little light of mine, to quote the old spiritual, will I be allowing that to shine more in the world? Will I be more inclined to be an example of making peace and bringing harmony to the world? Over the course of the next months and years, will I see an ongoing pattern of growth? Or will I become briefly inspired and excited? Look at me, look what I did. Will I congratulate myself for that, feel better? And like I used to do with weight loss, will I lose the 5 pounds I set out to lose and then say, well, I'm slender now, so I'm going to eat more. I'm going to celebrate with a slice of cake. Am I going to walk the walk knowing that the path is the length of the rest of my life, and being a person who sincerely believes in reincarnation, that the path goes on forever? That's going to be my homework, to look for ways to practice patience and to hopefully come up with something I can report next time. We're just about out of time. Thank you for joining me on Living Spark, project of the Spark of Humanity Network, sparkofhumanity.net. Please Please join us next time.